Today we're going to be tying up a really solid midge pattern. We're going to tie this in a much larger size than I usually would, just for your ability to see it a little bit on camera. I've got a size 20 scut hook here in my vise, 18-aught nano silk, so I can keep a thin profile on it. We're just getting our thread started. So if you recall, the higher the number, the smaller the hook. So when I'm talking about a size 20, you can see, hold my fingernail up against it, you can see we're tying very small here. But I'll tie these down from here to a 22, sometimes a 24. You can tie it even smaller than either of those two, but I can't see it any longer in the water, so there's really no point in me doing it other than to say I did it. So we're just going to get a thread base kind of started down here. Next we're going to tie in a stripped peacock herl. It's got one right here. Stripped it just right off of a herl I took from the eye. I like doing this from time to time because I like the natural color, but it also is much longer, and we've got quite a ways to travel here, so we can go ahead and tie that in here, and I can go ahead and pull it back a little bit, but you want to be really careful here because these quills are pretty brittle. I'm just going to take that back way deep around the back end of the hook. That's where I want this quill body to start. Then I can go ahead and take my thread back up towards behind the eye. Come in here just really quick and just cut off that tag end of peacock herl. We'll catch that with a wrap or two here. I'm going to take a few trips backwards and forwards just to build up the slightest little taper. I don't need a lot, but a little bit of one. So we're going to travel part of the way back down, trying to take touching wraps as we go down. I've gone ahead and just moved my thread over onto a bobbin cradle, just so I have my hands available. I'm going to just put the tiniest little dab of ZMent, Zap-a-Gap, super glue, whatever you want to call it, right on the top. That will just help us as we turn this or spiral this quill body up, help it stick a little bit better to the thread wraps. So we want to be pretty careful here when we connect to our quill. We want to be very gentle because it will fall apart pretty easily. We do want to get those first couple of turns deep in the bend and do them fairly slowly so that you can reach out, pull that quill a little bit more horizontal to get its ugly head around that hook point, because that's fast track to cleaning off and starting a new quill. And as we get closer towards the end, that quill gets a little bit wider, which really helps with a really nice segmentation looking body that we want here on this midge. Okay, as soon as we've reached the eye, keep the tension on that quill so it doesn't come unwrapped on you. And we're just going to take our thread off the bobbin cradle here. Maybe shorten that up a little bit with my other hand. We'll get a turn right over the top of the balance of our Peacock herl quill here. You've seen and heard me do this before, but I've got the hook kind of down on a downward angle. It's a little bit easier to tie some of those first materials in. I'm just going to go ahead and straighten it a little bit more out so it's more perpendicular, or parallel, sorry, to the table. So the eye of the hook is a little bit straighter, a little easier to tie from there. Go ahead and clip off the balance with our scissors. To make the fly a little bit more robust, let's go ahead and throw some UV on here. It's also going to make those wraps of quill look even more like a segmentation here. I'm just using a thin UV here. I just want to get it covered. I don't want it all gloopy and thick. I just want to cover up those wraps of quill, and then I'm going to hit it with my UV torch here. Give that a quick hit so it's hardened. Gives me a chance to look at whether I've got it everywhere I want it. We'll finish off just by using some flash here. I've got crystal flash. This is, who knows what it is. I took the thing off of it, but I'm shooting for a root beer color to a wood duck color. Will work fine here. I'm just going to take one strand of that. I'm going to wrap it around the thread. Then I can pull that over the top and just make sure I want to keep that seated right at the top. Take a few wraps back to secure it. Once you've got that secure, I do want them spread out a little bit, so we're going to kind of see where those lined up. I'm going to pull one more towards my side of the hook. I'm going to pull the other one a little bit more towards the lens side of the hook. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a tiny bit. From here, we'll just reach in with our whip finisher. Get our thread locked down. Looks like my head's kind of fuzzy. It's creating its own dubbing there, unintentionally. But nonetheless, I'll take it. Release that. Grab my thread cutter. Let's go ahead and release that thread. So our final step is just going to be to cut these two wings off to size. I want them to be maybe half the body length, so they're going to be relatively short. I'll use the ends from both of these to tie another one of these up. Set those aside. So there you go. Here's the Mid. This is a great pattern, especially in the wintertime. I've got this one with a quill body, Peacock herl, just erased off all the fibers there. That's all there is to it. And black thread. The quill makes a very nice body, especially under the UV. And then throw on a nice root beer, amber, peacock colored wing, and you're good to go. Time is small. This is a 20, as I mentioned before, very, very, very small. But I'm going to tie probably 4 or 5 more of these, and then I'm going to go down to my 22s, and then 24s if my eyes will hold out. So grab yourself a hook and throw it in your vise and give this one a shot.